Well, leave, ever since the passing of FMLA, has been treated as an afterthought. And no pointing fingers, no harm, no foul. It's just been a default, not design component of the employee journey. And by and large, insurance companies have been supporting leave of absences because they're providing typically the short-term disability policy that is in some way, shape, or form typically augmenting the pay of a leave. Insurance companies are just not set up to handle a leave, number one, completely. There's a lot of variations and stripes of the beach ball, as I say, that go into a leave. They touch one stripe of that with the STD component. And they also have far bigger and different things that they're focusing on in their business model. Leave is a loss leader for them, and it's just not, they're a business. It doesn't make them money. So it's treated that way. So when I say we have a long, long way to go, it's what has been accepted as the norm of how leave of absence is managed is breaking bones in a lot of ways to get people to think about it differently, to see it differently, to really embrace it as a competitive advantage and not an inconvenience for an employee, and to understand it is not going away. People are not going to stop having babies. People are not going to stop having medical procedures, having loss of loved ones. Like, leave is here to stay, and it is increasing. It is doubled in prevalence since COVID-19, which is bonkers.
Yeah. Can you talk about that for a second?
Yeah. When we started this wild world of tilt back in 2017 and out of the box in 2019, as I mentioned, 7% of an employee population would typically engage in a leave of some way, shape, or form every year. Today, that's upwards of 15% and growing. And those tailwinds are the prevalence of leave legislation. So 13 states in the union have passed mandatory paid leave, so companies have to comply with leave. It's also been the tailwinds of mental wellness, both recognition and support around it. So we're seeing far more mental wellness leaves, upwards of 200 to 300% increasing and growing. You're also seeing far more favorable leave policies start to become the norm, whereas when we started this journey, those are premium benefits. They are absolutely stakes now.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you talking when you say leaves as a premium benefit? Can you give an example of what was premium in 2017, 2018, 2019 that now is table stakes?
Well, I love your data on this, but I would argue bereavement, that was not treated as a leave qualifying event historically in any sort of regularity. I think more pervasively in terms of like the prevalence of leaves that we support is parental. So you heard maternity for the longest time. There are a tremendous number of ways to become a parent. And it is far more than maternity, the person who is carrying the child. So when I say premium today or premium then, table stakes now, it's recognizing that there are multiple paths to parenthood and offering equitable access to caring for that child, no matter how you came to welcome that child to your life. Those would be two that I would say. I think, again, mental wellness, far more policies prevalent, support welcomed, companies recognizing. Those are three of the big ones. What are you seeing?
I mean, we're seeing, I think we're seeing companies that are catching up to some degree to benchmarks that were set decades ago by, at the time, probably progressive companies. But the rest of them are starting to catch up and using that benchmark that was established, honestly, in the 1970s, 1980s with bereavement leave as a funeral leave. It was more of a funeral leave, right? Less grief aware, less about grief, but it was like, hey, get to the funeral or produce the funeral and then come back to work. And that was kind of the standard. And now that has become a little bit more, I would say, table stakes. But what we're really starting to see are companies that are building out much more inclusive type of leave plans. They call them empathy leaves or compassionate leave. And they really take bereavement as one piece of all the hardship that life can throw at you. And they stick that into a whole host of other things,
Yeah.
and put it on a rolling 12 months and say you get 30 days on a rolling 12 months, because life's going to throw stuff at you, and you should have the flexibility to do that. We worked hard, we spent a lot of money to hire you, we think you're the right fit for this, otherwise you wouldn't be here, we want to keep you, go deal with that stuff. And I think that is like at the I don't know, I would say probably 1% of the top, and then there's a big group doing 3 to 5 days of leave, and then there's a smaller group that is still behind that.
It's fascinating to me as you're saying that the companies are so much more willing and apt to dole out tens of thousands of dollars for things like professional development or conference attendance or things like that. That is an investment in that employee, to your point, that they selected, that they trained, that they have made their bet on. But when it comes to creating the space for them to navigate this wild world of life, that's seen as a completely different criteria or investment in that time and
Yeah.
that monetary investment, which just it's
Yeah.
human.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. I'd love your take on like why that is as a CEO of a growing company, when you and you have a luxury of seeing, I think, a wide breadth of life, right?
yeah.
That not everybody does. But why do you think companies are going to go, even on like taco parties, right? I mean, the tens of thousands of dollars that I've experienced that have been spent on tacos and margaritas